Hey guys, welcome to Ringsiders Wrestling. Jamie and Callum here, and we have a very special guest, a huge guest, Mr. Cary Silkin. Thank you for joining us, Cary. How are you?
I'm well, and I appreciate you guys having me on.
Well, it's our pleasure. We are huge fans. I was listening to your podcast today with Ian Riccoboni as well, and I thought to myself, we're going to talk about wrestling, and I was like, this guy's like so rock and roll.
Which episode was it?
I was listening to a few at work. I was listening to the one about the wrestler with Mickey Rourke and Nick Cage.
Yes.
When Nick Cage was at the arena, and I'm like, this guy's so rock and roll. I mean, the stories. I literally want to just like do a whole series myself with you. But before I go into wrestling, I did read a story, and I've got to ask you about it.
Sure.
Is it true you was on the tour bus with Rush, with Alex Lifeson and Neil Peart?
There's two full episodes of Last Stop Penn Station. The first season we did it. The first season we did, we wanted to keep it. I'll get to your Rush thing. We wanted to keep it wrestling centric, because the meager fan base that I might have, and Ian has, it's based on Ring of Honor. So we did a lot of Ring of Honor stuff. The wrestler movie, going to the UK for the first time in 2005 and back in 2006, and working with Pro Wrestling Noah and getting to go to Japan. But there's this whole other life that I have, prior to this, with me hustling tickets on the street. I'm going backwards here. Hustling tickets on the streets of New York City, like they would say in the UK, a tout, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I was always, from my teenage years to into my 30s, I had serious substance abuse problems, namely my best friend, cocaine and alcohol. So in the podcast, we cover the pro wrestling stuff. We get back into the ticket, the work in the street stuff, and then we're going back to this period of my life, which is basically, geez, I hate when I give these fucking years. I sound so old, but it's what it is. But like from like 76 to 1980, before you guys were born, I used to work for these club bands, rock bands. They were not on a recording level, but at the time in New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, there was this huge rock and roll scene of club music. And it was all, like New York City had CBGBs and the whole, the Ramones, and they brought the Sex Pistols over, and all these punk, these punk bands, the Dead Boys, and Blondie came out of there, and blah blah blah. But there was, outside of that, all these club bands that were in Jersey, Long Island, Pennsylvania. It was cover music. And ranging from I worked for a band that was just a Doors cover band called Crystal Ship. I worked for some more of dance style bands. But the point is, working with these bands, and you're not even talking a theater level. We're talking a club level. But combined with my horrible vocation of trying to aim, a suburban coke dealer, my own best customer, and all kinds of problems. So I'm going to say this on your podcast. I hope this won't offend any. I'll get heat from some form of the women's something or other. A male groupie's pussy is cocaine.
Right, okay, yeah.
Pardon me, ladies. But who's your favorite band?
I'm a Motorhead guy.
Excuse me?
Motorhead.
Motorhead. How about you?
My favorite band, probably System of a Down.
Okay, fine. Now I know Lemmy's not with us anymore, correct?
Yeah.
Be that as it may, whether it's Motorhead or System of a Down, in my case, Jethro Tull. Wouldn't you want to be able to hang out around, with the band or close to the band? Of course.
Oh, hell yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'll finally get back to your question. So I was working at this club in Asbury Park, the Asbury Park of Bruce Springsteen fame.
Yeah.
This is in like the late 70s, early 80s. And I wasn't working for a band. I worked for the club. It was only for a few weeks, and they would have different acts come in. Anyway, this one band came in. It was a one-hit wonder band from the UK called the Fabulous Poodles. They had a song called Mirror Star and one album. It never made it, but it made it to radio, but that was it. But the driver for them was this guy, Whitey, who I met. And he was a nice guy, and he said to me, listen, if Rush comes around, because the Fabulous Poodles were only doing like 15 dates, right? He goes, I'm the driver for Rush. I go, oh, really? What, do you drive a truck? He goes, no, I drive their bus. They travel on the bus.
That's awesome.
So this is, so when Rush did come around, you could hear all the rest of the exciting story. But they were really nice guys because I did get to meet them. And you could hear it all on Last Stop Penn Station. I wasted enough time with that story. I'm sorry.
I just want to say, I think that David Bowie picture in the background is awesome. The one you've got, that's so cool.
Yeah, it is cool. It's so sad that he passed. No one ever. I was talking to Kevin Sullivan the other day. The Kevin Sullivan, the wrestler.
Yeah.
When Road Warrior Animal died.
Yeah.
It's like no one ever. Kevin goes, how come nobody ever says someone died? It's always passed away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was just going to say, it's so sad that it's so sad Bowie's dead. It's like he's 66, 67. But what about he had? Holy shit.
Yeah, man. Well, he died. He died about 2 days after Lemmy. And they were both around about the same time.
Well, me being if you listen to the podcast and me a little, that, and I mentioned them already, Jethro Tull. I'm a big, look, I'm 63 years old. So when I was in high school, we were going to, and I lived near New York City. We would go basically to anything. But I saw Zeppelin in '73. I saw Black Sabbath. I saw the Who when they came over with Quadrophenia. And I also saw, like maybe you'd consider these bands a little too light, but we didn't. Elton John on the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road album.
Yeah.
Billy Joel. And all that we would basically go to see anything, whether it was like a Grateful Dead kind of thing, Allman Brothers, or Alice Cooper, or we just used to like to go to these shows, and it was so nice. It was so nice living near New York City, right by Madison Square Garden. What was the question?
I was just saying it's a nice picture of David Bowie.
So rock and roll has been a big part of my life.
I can tell. But that's why Jamie was saying that we could do a whole episode just on music with you. There's so much.
We have done so far.
This yeah, very true. You're also into wrestling, but I mean, we don't even have to. That happens quite often if there's a person we speak to in wrestling who is also like known for stuff outside of wrestling, we very rarely discuss wrestling on the show.
Well, I'll try to weave some of what we spoke about into Ring of Honor, and
I'm happy talking about whatever you want to talk about.
I was a lifetime pro wrestling fan, like most people who are in the wrestling business, including you guys that are, that have enough interest to do a podcast, or whether it's the wrestlers that I've met over the years, including these so-called legends that I've gotten to know. There's only one guy I've ever met was not a wrestling fan growing up, and yet he was one of the great minds in pro wrestling. And that's, you know who Dutch Mantel is?
Yeah.
Dutch. Yeah, I knew him from Puerto Rico. I mean, but anyway, so when I became the sole owner of Ring of Honor, and even before that a little, there was one thing missing in the early Ring of Honor, and it was, a lack of production.
Yeah.
Gabe's a rock and roll guy. He loves Rush. He loves, I'm trying to think of who some of his favorites are. He likes heavier stuff too, but yet he'll like something like Yes. He's a variety, but so it was treated like any other indie with a ring, and that's it. So when I got involved with the company, coming from this minor background of working with these club bands a million years ago, but yet I always pay attention to production and lighting when I would go to a show, whether it's rock and roll or whether it was even a WWE or I used to go to the ECW shows. At least they had ring lighting.
Yeah.
And at least when the show started in Philly, at least when the show started, the lights would go out and the crowd would pop. And I'm trying, and Gabe was, part of that. And I was trying to explain. So Gabe's like, you don't want to carry, he was worried about the money, my money. He says, look, we don't need to bring in lighting. And this is even at the Murphy Rec Center, right? This little shithole. I said, but Gabe, you go to see all these fucking bands. I said, they go, even when you go to a movie, what happens when the movie starts? Oh, the lights go out. I go, right. So I knew to bring in lighting, and if you look at the Ring of Honor tapes, and a lot of them are coming out now that have been sort of hidden over the last number of years because of the music that I would allow to be played, where they could have sued me, but they knock on wood, fortunately didn't. So Sinclair has been sorting all that out, and there's so much good stuff being released. But if you look at this stuff, I was watching some stuff from 2005 and 2000, whatever. But we quickly brought up the level of production as best as we could. And so if we were in some shithole armory in Dayton, the thing I hate the most is when you watch a show and there's millions of indies or others where you see white walls in the back, or you just see walls. So I bought so much pipe and drape, as they call it, curtain.
Yeah.
And we had more pipe and drape. And you watch these old Ring of Honor shows at the risk of pissing off. I mean, the Sinclair production has gotten fabulous, but there were real growing pains in the beginning. And they're not going to be mad at me. They know it. And I wouldn't allow, I didn't give a shit if there was 400 people there. I wanted that you couldn't tell. There's nothing worse than seeing empty chairs.
Yeah, agreed.
So I tried to parlay some of my rock and roll lighting ethic and into ROH. And now Ring of Honor has gone to, you know, such a, I'm not talking about the pure tournament. We can talk about that in a second, but just before this, all this horse shit with the pandemic, the production is really good. Just top notch. I'm very proud of it. You know, the crowning achievement, of course, was getting to be at Madison Square Garden, you know, where I saw these concerts, where I was scalping tickets in front of the building for 5 years. It's just the odds of all this coming together, and my drug use, which was prolific, the odds of all this coming together. And last April, to be out on the floor and in the ring twice at Madison Square Garden, and if they did some kind of statistical thing, because if we were back 30 years ago, someone would say, oh, you know that guy Cary, and someone else say, yeah, he's all right, but you know, so the odds of everything coming together, me even just living through all this, let alone the ROH thing, let alone the sale to Sinclair, let alone being in the Garden, it's like hitting the some big ass lottery. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Very lucky. I'm a very lucky man.
Speaking of the Garden as well, I mean, obviously, you hear the rumors. Were the rumors true? I mean, did Vince McMahon try to stop that happening? Absolutely. He did.
Yeah. Vince McMahon, who I've never met, I'd love to, but you know, I've never met him. You know, going back to when I was a teenager and into you know, all through the Bruno era, the Backlund era, into the Hogan era. We used to go every month, and they had the Garden would run every 3 weeks, every month, and then as business went down, they would run, you know, 4 times a year. And then, you know what the death knell was for the Garden and WWE? The Barclays Center.
Yeah.
When the Barclays Center opened, I don't know how many years it's been. Maybe let's just say 7, 8, 9, whatever it's been. Maybe 10 years ago. The Barclays Center, which as the crow flies, is only 10 miles from the Garden. It's, you know, it's like, I've been to, you know, it's like a certain district of London is, you know, and then 10 miles away, it's another district, but it's still called London.
Yeah.
So the Barclays Center's in Brooklyn, and the Garden's right downtown in New York City, Manhattan. And but when they opened, they were giving fabulous deals. Let's say Metallica was playing, or Elton John was playing. Hey, the Garden's $500,000, you know, to like rent and with, you know, all in. But we'll do it for a $250, whatever. I don't know the exact numbers, but they were basically giving half-price deals to attract these mainstream acts, circuses, and WWE. So Vince Jr. Would run. So getting to that last year, he had like 5 nights at the bar. He had the NXT Hall of Fame. Then they had Giant Stadium, all right. But then Monday Night Raw is 4 shows at the Barclays, and none at the Garden. So anyway, we got the deal, and Vince McMahon called them and spoke to, like, you know, whatever. This is all secondhand, but he just, like, whoever he spoke to was like, look, my father all these years, blah, blah, blah. And for like a few days, he had it. But then Sinclair, I don't know I'm not in the business anymore of Ring of Honor. I'm just the ambassador. But Sinclair went in there with lawyers and were like, look, you promised us this date. Goes something like that. But he did try to block it. So, you know how WWE, it's like they want it all.
Yeah.
And I'm not anti-WWE, but, I was in that case. It's like, you're not at Madison Square Garden. What do you give a shit? So.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, we got so lucky because there was no hockey game or basketball game. This is a Saturday night or a concert. They could have had Lady Gaga a year ago book that date or whomever, fill in the blank. So we were very lucky and fortunate, and it was the greatest night of my life.
Well, I was just saying earlier with the, you mentioned the Pure Title Tournament, which Ring of Honor is currently running. I personally think that has been the best produced part of Ring of Honor that I've seen in all the time I've been watching it. I started watching in 2003, which was actually quite hard to do as a UK fan. I actually had to get Ring of Honor DVDs from the independent shows in the area. Some people would sell them on and I'd pick them up. But yeah, I was hooked from the start. It was so different.
Were you old enough to go to the shows in Liverpool when we were there?
Yeah, I went to the Liverpool show. I was only 18, maybe.
Maybe I shook your hand at the show or something.
Must have done. But yeah, that was so cool because I remember thinking, wow, Ring of Honor's coming to the UK. It was huge. And the arena looked amazing. The venue looked incredible. But sorry, I've got a dog on my knee just trying to muscle his way through. You happy? But yeah, sorry. I think the Pure Title Tournament's been the best part of Ring of Honor that I've seen. Just with the statistics and everything so far, the way it's presented is, to me, what Ring of Honor should always be. Like, it's that pure sports type of promotion, but with the production value it always needed. Like you said, you brought on the production with the lights going out and making sure it's sealed off if there's empty seats, etc. I think it's finally become like the polished product that Ring of Honor was always going to be.
Well, thank you. And, I didn't really have much to do with it. This Pure Title reboot has been talked about. I still, when I say I have nothing to do with it, I don't have anything to do with the business of the company. But the guys behind the scenes, even when I owned it, I didn't really get involved in the booking or, but if I had an idea, I'm going to say something, or if I didn't think something was good. So the point is this Pure Title has been bounced around, rebooting it, let's call it, for a long time. And they did such, I was not in Baltimore. Because of the Baltimore State Athletic Commission, they had these ridiculous protocols, and they're taping again in a few weeks. Like, you had to quarantine in a hotel room for 5 days. No thanks. Not me. So, and hopefully this will go away. Not like Donald Trump says, but this will, things will sort itself out. It's just going to go away. It's going to go away.
Oh, yeah, it's work. Yeah, it just goes away. Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. The graphics, the sports-based feel, which has always existed in parts of Ring of Honor, because if I said it, someone's going to say, oh, what about the CZW feud? What about this crazy ladder matches? We do that stuff too. But it was like to reboot with new episodes and to reboot with the, I'm overusing the reboot word, but to start again with the Pure Title. And it was done so well, just like the interview packages, everything you mentioned, the graphics, the tail of the tape, and my buddy Ian Riccaboni and my good friend Caprice Coleman, they really do a good job. Ian is like me. He likes wrestling history. Like that word, wrestling history, it doesn't exist in WWE.
Yeah.
No, yeah, we know. Yeah.
Right. It's just their revisionist.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's revisionist history. It's just whatever they feel like saying. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So Ian throws out some. I love. Cary's good. Caprice is a good color man, and the whole package is good. And I'll tell you one other thing. These shows were taped. Where are we now? I don't know. In the end of August, right? And it's not leaked out who wins the title.
Yeah, I have no idea. I love that about it. I have no idea.
That was the best way.
The wrestlers, there was a couple other matches taped. I don't even know who wins. I don't want to know. A couple of the other matches were taped. The Briscoes are on, going to be coming up. I don't want to give any spoilers. I'm going to get in trouble. But there's going to be some matches, and then there's a taping in 2 weeks. But yeah, this is what we needed. And I think this is what pro wrestling needed. You know, all my good friends at the Elite, you know, my good friends are the Young Bucks. You know,
yeah.
And it's not like Cody, great talent, and Christopher Daniels I've known forever, and Frankie and all these other, whoever I'm leaving off the list. But they were supposed to, you know, whatever they were supposed to do. And I don't want to knock their product, but it's getting redundant to me in the car wreck field. And it's like, what are you going to do next? You know, like slice someone's head off with an axe?
I get you. I think one Ring of Honor is doing better is, like I said, with the statistics. AEW did say when they first launched that AEW Dynamite was going to be very sports.
Right, that's what I was trying to get at. Thank you for saying this. Go ahead.
Statistics. And I think Ring of Honor in this pure tournament has actually done it better already, because this to me is a sports product with statistics. Even just saying like how many times a wrestler has beaten this other wrestler at this venue, for example, is a really cool stat to know. And I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to statistics and stuff, so I love it. But I think it's already done a bit better than Dynamite, and that's taking nothing away from them. I get it's two different products.
I still like to watch the show. I probably like to watch it because of the people that I know that are there.
Sure.
You know, and same with, you know, NXT. You know, I was good friends with Kyle and Adam Cole. You know, certain guys who you work with, it's like you could work with them. Like here, I'll give you an example. Like, let's see. Let me give you a good example. Well, anyway, while I'm thinking of it, all right, perfect example. Adam Cole, I knew since day one when he was just helping set up the ring. We just hit it. He's just a good kid. He hit it off. We became very close when he was in Ring of Honor. Same with Kyle O'Reilly. I took him to a couple of concerts. I took him to the Yankee Stadium. But yet, Bobby Fish, or Roddy, who we've been friends now for 16 years. But it's like, hey, what's up, Cary? How you doing? Hey, Roddy, what's going on, bro? You know, when we would see each other. You know, in other words, we didn't hang. And Bobby Fish, who I've known, I mean, his Ring of Honor career, he probably did some shots back in 2007, 8, 9, before he really latched on. He's another guy, great guy, but I wasn't friends with him. You know, we're just like, what, you know, how you doing, mate? You know, so yeah, but so I like to watch the shows. You know, when I watch, it's hard for me to watch Raw or SmackDown just because of the nature of it.
Sure.
But I like.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
You know, I like there's another guy I was never close with, Brian and you know, Claudio and it's nice to see that these guys have done so well. And as someone who I am close with is Tyler Black, Seth Rollins,
Yeah.
He likes football, American football. So we both like to bet. Take a little bet on a game. So we'll ask each other on a Sunday, what do you think of this game? What do
He's
you
a Browns fan, isn't he?
Right.
Yeah.
He's a good guy, a really nice man. So I'm proud of him.
We've had the pleasure of speaking to quite a few of the people that he's trained at Black and Brave, and they've always got good things to say about Tyler Black. Seth Rollins, is one of the best trainers in the country by the sounds of it. Him and Marek Brave have a really good training school.
It's funny, I remember the very first day he came, him and his friend drove from Davenport, Iowa. They thought they were going to go to Ring of Honor school. This was like 2004. And CM Punk was running the school. And we're at this show in Elizabeth, New Jersey at that Rexplex. Maybe you have a DVD from the Rexplex.
Probably.
And Tyler Black, was he even Tyler Black? I don't know what his name, whatever his name was, Colby. So he was just like skinny kid. We're trying to get the building ready, and make a long story short, he was just like a droopy, quiet, and I remember slapping he had a baseball cap on, and I remember like slapping the top of the cap, and I'm like, come on, dude, help us out with the chairs, man. What do you he was shy. And as it turned out, and he'll tell you this, him and his friend came completely unprepared financially, spiritually, and they had it in a few days. They realized, where are we going to stay? We got, so but obviously he got his stuff together. So he's my guy.
Yeah, he did pretty well for himself, you could say.
And the same with the Bucks. I became very close with them. I've been at both their houses. They used to stay here or on the road. I know the parents. We've gone to concerts, and I still stay in touch with them. And they're very nice people.
It's amazing. Well, obviously, Cary, we're on Zoom, and we're probably going to run out of time in a few minutes.
Okay.
So I've got to ask you though, please, would you come back on, because I think we could do another part out of this and speak a hell of a lot more.
Well, I'd be happy to. I hope I didn't bore the shit out of you guys with some of this.
No, some of the most interesting stories we've had recently, so I'd love to do it again.
I desperately, there's so much more to talk about. So much more.
I could talk about Ring of Honor for a whole episode.
Said a mouthful.
Is there anything you'd like to promote before we go? Your social medias, anything you've got?
All right, well, number one, watch Ring of Honor. Join our club, ROHWrestling.com. You can watch it anywhere in the world. Subscribe to their YouTube channel. There's so much content, and more coming. Like I said, my era of ownership, there's still stuff being sorted out, but there's been so much stuff added. Number two, and of course, it's ROH Wrestling, at ROH Wrestling, and ROH Wrestling on YouTube, and I think it's Ring of Honor on Instagram. I don't know why, but anyway. But as important, please check out, if you want some entertainment. I mean, there's 18 million podcasts where they talk about wrestling from the 80s and 90s, which I like sometimes, but how much, you want something different. You want to walk on the wild side. And and there's plenty of wrestling too. Last Stop Penn Station on all podcast platforms, as well as my little watched YouTube platform. But it's on iTunes and Spotify. That's where people seem to digest it. Myself and Ian Riccaboni, we're currently in the season of rock and roll. My meetings with hooking up with Rush John Belushi, Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy, Bob Seger, the Road Crew from Jethro Tull, and lots of other stories of debauchery, sex, drugs, and rock and roll when New York City was dirty, disgusting, and wonderful.
Hell yeah, that's what I'm all about. Yes.